You know, Captains, this is one of those times where even the best of intros and music that I pick is still not enough to really capture the essence of a ship as, well, interesting as the Gascogne, which we have pictured here. Hello, Captains. I'm your host, USS Endeavor, and this is going to be a deep dive of a ship that, honestly, I don't see that much of anymore, and that's because it's like playing Legends, but on hard mode, if there ever was such a thing. But it's like taking a ship and intentionally tying one of your hands behind your back or intentionally handicapping yourself. Why would you do it? I don't know. But it seems like this ship fits that bill. So we're going to take a look at it. We're going to show you a couple of gameplays. Let's start with the commander. Captain Jojo Robert Jujard is the commander. He's a free-to-play commander that helps with the overall penetration as his base perk. And this is a full-on old-school accuracy build. I didn't try to do anything crazy or silly with this thing because I need as much accuracy as I can get. You're going to understand why. So onto the actual mod slots. Again, aiming systems mod 1 because of accuracy. Propulsion mod, because I've got to get up to speed as quickly as possible. Concealment mod, because I don't want to get hit. And main battery mod 3, because I need these guns to fire as fast as they can. On to the consumables, our damage control party. 15-second duration, which is nice. 80-second time to get it back is not. But it's a battleship, so that's a thing. 3 repair parties, which are decent. You have 4 spotter planes, again, because I need accuracy. And last is an 8% increase with your engine speed boost that lasts 3 minutes, which is probably the best thing on this ship. On to the actual stats itself, your survivability, 63,200 hit points, 35% torpedo damage reduction. We'll take a look at the armor at the end. I would say this is about as generic as a battleship as you could possibly get. It's pretty much right in the middle of the road when it comes to health, torpedo damage reduction and all that stuff. So this is a very typical battleship stat. Onto the artillery, which is the you have 8 guns, but it's like a Jean Bart, but taking one of those turrets and slapping it on the back, meaning you can't get your full firepower without showing a little bit of skirt. And they're the same 380 shells as the Jean Bart and the Richelieu and the Le Foudre. 15-inch shells. They reload semi-quick, but they're really still not all that impressive. The AA defense is also not a really strong suit of this ship. In fact, it's probably one of the weakest AA defenses of any of the battleships except for the Tech Tree Richelieu. So far, nothing to get really excited about. And as we continue on with the stats, I don't know if you're going to be at all that impressed. The maneuverability, you can't quite get to 30 knots with this build. 850 meter turning circle radius is very typical. 14.5 second reload rudder shift time is also very typical for a battleship. So it's not really all that super fast, even for a French battleship. And your speed boost gets a little over 30 knots, but not by much. Your concealment, 13.3 kilometers with a concealment mod. So it's okay, kind of. Nothing has been standoutish as, wow, this is really cool about the ship. That's kind of a theme. So the armor, coated in 32 millimeters of armor, very similar to the Champagne that we just reviewed, except it does have a little bit of a torpedo bulge, and it's lightly armored, but underneath that, as we strip it away, it has a very well armored belt. So this thing is still pretty tanky when you angle appropriately, but when you angle appropriately, you reduce your DPM in half because you only have one set of 4 guns in the front and the other set's in the back. So the only way to get them all off is to show a little bit more of a broadside. But for all intents and purposes, the armor is very, very similar to the Champagne. And the last thing I wanted to show was your superstructure, which is a decent size as well. Okay, captains, this is our first of 2 games. Islands of Ice, we are in the Gascogne, and it is a Tier 8, Tier 7 lobby on an Epicenter game mode on Islands of Ice, which is not the worst, but it's also not the best game mode. Straight up domination, I think, is the best game mode. And then I guess you could put Epicenter next, where Capture the Base is absolutely the worst game mode to play in the standard. So it's not the worst game mode, but it's also not the best. We're gonna make the bet. We're gonna do the best that we can. So right here at the beginning, we do spawn on the right flank. It is for matchmaking purposes, it's pretty standard, or at least the matchmaking that I think is probably the best. You got 4 battleships, 2 cruisers, and 3 destroyers on each team. So the makeup of the team is pretty good, as balanced as you could probably get. But again, the thing that I don't like about the Gascogne, and I think a lot of people don't like about it, is that it takes everything that you're used to about French battleships and it intentionally makes it hard. You lose out on just strictly bow tanking. It is a thinking man's battleship. You have to plan your moves. You have to plan your shots. You have to make sure that you're angled appropriately. It is going to test you in every way that you wish you wouldn't have to be tested in a battleship like this. It's been in the game for a very long time. And I got this ship in a Christmas crate, not just this one that we had, but the year prior. I remember getting it and just going, great. Well, at least I don't have to waste 750 global XP on this thing. It's one of the very few ships that I've ever received in a crate that I wasn't excited for at all. In fact, I kind of wish I would have gotten paint because I feel like I would have gotten more use out of it than this thing. I kind of say all that tongue-in-cheek, but it really doesn't have anything that I would say is worth your effort or time. I can literally name almost any other battleship in the game that either performs better or has something better going for it than the Gascogne. Especially when it comes to the French battleships. You have a lot at your disposal at Tier 7 alone, but you have the Gascogne, which we're showing right here. You have the Champagne, which we just did a review on. At least that has a really good fire chance. It has fewer guns, I'll give you that, but at least the fire chance is vastly better than the Gascogne. I didn't say it whenever we were looking at it, but I think it's somewhere in like the 30% range, which is not that great for these amount of shells. They do reload, I would say they do reload quicker on average, but they're still not all that fast compared to what you have. You can be a tank in this thing if you really needed to, but again, you're nerfing yourself on purpose if you angle appropriately like I am right here. I don't want to get slapped by the Veneto, who has the exact same size guns as I do, but he's got 12 of them. And he gets 8 of them up front. And he has amazing secondaries. That ship is a tech tree, which is free. I would play that every other day of the week and twice on Sunday rather than the Gascogne. Which I'm sure at this point you're probably thinking, well, then why in the world are you featuring this? Why are you taking it out? Why are you playing it? Well, there was a guy on my community that wanted to see the Champagne and was also curious about the Gascogne. I'm guessing because he hasn't seen it a whole lot out there. And there's a reason why you don't see a lot of these ships out on the water. As we take a shot at the Cleveland, we get a relatively decent hit, but most of them are overpins where we get 1 pin. Now, I did hit a little forward, so I didn't hit it smack dab in the middle of the ship. So there's that. But the Cleveland is one of those kind of like, it's got a really silly armor scheme where you got to hit this thing just right. Thankfully, he gets whacked by torpedoes, and I'm not going to lie. This shot right here, I just didn't look because I was like, oh, he's dead. And he's not. I take him down to virtually nothing. But I've also got a battleship right behind me in the Kansas. And I was like, well, the Kansas will finish him off. I'll let him have it. And he takes a shot at him. I'm like, okay, he's dead. What? Nope, he's not dead. So I look back and I'm like, how is this guy alive? And so I'm like, well, clearly the Kansas just took a shot. Maybe he'll take another one, but no, he doesn't. I guess he also had the mindset that salvo that he shot, the Cleveland's dead. There's no point in continuing. So both of us forget about the Cleveland, and he starts getting these easy shots. I wonder if he thought in the moment, wow, how am I still alive? But he has lasted far longer than he should have been. And even looking at the Kansas, his guns aren't even focused at him. So we're forced to get our turrets turned around, which took a painfully long time. Somebody took a shot at him again, still didn't kill him. So we get a junky cleanup. Wow, that also goes to show just how inaccurate these guns are. Even with the 8 shells, I mean, French dispersion is wonky even at best. But when you have only one turret up front and you have the other in the back, that you got to spin all the way around. They don't even spin 360 degrees. It is rough. So that's why I kind of alluded to the joke that if you're going to play this thing, you're intentionally playing this thing on hard mode. And we already know how difficult this game already is, even without that. Here I was about to take a shot of the Veneto, but our friendly Kansas decides to clean him up as we kind of pinched him, which was a pretty good maneuver. He was ready to shoot at me, but the Kansas got to him a little bit sooner than I could. And here we got a Republic right in front of us. Now, that ship, I know that I'm going to sound like I'm contradicting myself whenever I say this. The Republic is a really good ship. It's a tier 8. It has literally the exact same configuration as the Gascogne. Oh, you freaking hypocrite. I can't believe you're saying that. The Gascogne has the exact same layout, and now you're saying that the Republic is a good ship and the Gascogne's not. Well, before you chastise me, how many times do you see the Republic out there compared to the Gascogne? You see the Republic a heck of a lot more. It's a slightly bigger ship. It has the exact same turret layout. It has the exact same amount of guns. Except the caliber on the Republic is like 431 or something like that. It's like 17-inch shells compared to the Gascogne's 15. And it reloads faster base than the Gascogne. And it has really decent secondaries. And for some reason, it just feels a heck of a lot more accurate. Now, if you're going to sell broadside, then yeah, you're going to get punished. And but here, look at that. We took a shot and bounced everything. It looked like he was more broadside than that. And no. RNG said no. So, so I don't even get the kill. Why did I even feature this clip? Well, because I didn't play many games in it. And I just kind of wanted to talk about it because somebody wanted to know more about it. And then after I dropped the Champagne video, they were like, you know what? You don't have to do the Gascogne. Don't worry about the Gascogne. And I was like, no. I put in a lot of effort and work, and I played too many games in this thing. And no, I'm going to feature it. Because, for one, it hasn't been featured in a long time. It's been in the game for a really long time. I never gave it a fair shake whenever I first got it over a year ago. And I've only played a handful of games in it. But I enjoy reviewing ships, especially ones that I haven't played that much or have forgotten about, because it helps me remember either why I didn't like it at first, or it tests my mettle because I've been playing the game for a while. It is a bit of a challenge, and I like ships that give me a little bit of a challenge. Although this ship does give me a challenge, and I don't like it. It's on par with the Colorado for me. I can't stand that ship. And it has bigger guns than the Gascogne does. So in my opinion, and I emphasize my opinion, this is not a ship that entices me to want to take out. It really doesn't have anything about it that is special. It is unique in that it is a very wonky turret layout design, but nothing about the ship stands out at all to being different or better or more interesting than any of the other French battleships at the tier. Like I was talking about, the Jean Bart, the Le Foudre, the Richelieu, they're all basically the exact same ship with a couple of different unique twists and features about them that make them slightly different from each other. But you can basically battle tank the whole game and get all your firepower off in front of the ship. So you don't have to expose a broadside as long as it's really easy to play those ships. And then you have the Champagne, which we talked about already. Now we're featuring the Gascogne, which is, in my opinion, a worse Champagne. And then you have, at the tier, we're not talking about the Republic just yet, but at the tier, you've also got the Flandre, which has 15-inch guns like the Gascogne, but they're in a traditional turret layout with 2 turrets in the front and 1 in the back, 9 guns total, but it has a really good secondary range. Although they don't do a lot of damage, they have the same dispersion as the German battlecruiser line, like the Zeton, and it has really decent fire chance if you can build into it, which I've done before. So that makes for a really fun ship. But this thing just it's not fun to me. I would pick any of those ships over this and probably have a fantastic time. So if you're a Gascogne player, if you really like the ship, please tell me in the comments below so that all of us can hear, including myself, because I want to learn what makes this ship so different than the other ones that makes it viable to want to play over the other ships. I'll confess I'm not a battleship main player, so maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's something about this ship that I'm just not thinking of, or I've missed, or I've got the build wrong, and I should be playing it this way. I really would like your thoughts. I really want your suggestions on this. I've thought about a full reload build and spraying as much spaghetti on the wall as possible in order to see if something sticks. But I didn't go that route. I went with the accuracy route because I felt like I'm going to be bound tanking and trying to angle appropriately, which means I'm only going to get half of my firepower on target. And as you can see, even with a full accuracy build, I'm whiffing shots all over the place. Now, and I don't know what to do. So, captains, please, I am a student much more than I am a teacher in this ship. So, I really want to hear from you. What do you think makes this thing worth playing? Because I don't see a lot of them out there. And I'm going to bet dollars to donuts that not a lot of you see a lot of the Gascogne out there either. All in all, we didn't do too bad. Second on the leaderboard. Let's take a look at the second game. All right, captains, game number 2 in the Gascogne because I'm a glutton for punishment. But I also wanted to do one where I was in a division because I feel like you're going to get the most out of this ship if you're with competent players and you're not relying on random teammates. And oddly enough, my teammates are in both ships that I would rather be playing in the Jean Bart and the Le Foudre, which is essentially a Jean Bart, just the pirated edition that I actually got lucky enough to get in a free crate. I only got one free pirate crate, and it happened to be the Le Foudre, which was it was the same time whenever they were releasing the Jolly Roger flag, and you had to have the Le Foudre or the Caprice in order to finish that mission to get the flag, which was cheeky by Wargaming. But anyway, enough of that. I am in the Gascogne, and I'm with my teammates. So let's see which ship does the best between the Jean Bart, the Le Foudre, and the Gascogne. And go ahead and make your predictions now before the game starts and see if you're correct by the end of it on who actually wins out at the end. And I'm not going to spoil anything. So make your wagers now. So in the first game, I talked a lot about the Gascogne itself. I'm not going to do that this game. Now I'm just going to focus on the gameplay and what I was thinking about in this particular match. Because this match ends up being actually a pretty darn good one. And I wasn't expecting it to be as competitive as it was, but it does. It ends up being a pretty darn competitive match. So right off the rip, the difference between this game and the first one that we saw is that the matchmaking in the first game was relatively balanced. This one, not so much. You've got 4 battleships, or actually 5 rather, on our team, as we get a Citadel on that Amagi way out there with 1 salvo connecting for 21,879 damage. That was a really good hit, and one of the few that I got in the Gascogne. I mean, it was more rare to get a good tight grouping than it was to actually hit most of your shells on target. So that I felt like was more of an anomaly than the norm, which kind of tells you this thing, even with a full accuracy build, is not all that accurate. But again, back to the matchmaking, there are 4 destroyers per side, which is not good, especially in a battleship that doesn't have high DPM, not a lot of shells, and you have to expose your broadside, which makes you get torpedoed easier. So that's why I'm kind of kiting out. I didn't want to get slapped by any destroyer that's potentially out here, but I'm not spotted right now. There's nothing in the cap. So I need to turn back around and get my lazy butt back over there. And I've got the engine speed boost going. But if you take a look at the speed boost as it's going and the speed down in the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to see we don't get up to speed very fast. And for a French battleship that the whole line is known for being the faster of the battleships, compared to like the Americans or the Germans or the British, pretty much any other battleship line, the French line boasts the best top speed. So, but even in that, this thing is not all that impressive compared to the other battleships of the series that we've talked about. And we don't have a cruiser on our team. They do. They have 1 cruiser on their team. And guess where he is? Well, you're about to find out here in a second. But he's behind the rock, behind Alpha, and he's going to be firing HE. Basically, there he is right there. It's the Boise, which isn't a tier 7, but he's got 15 guns, and he can pepper me from range, and that's exactly what he's going to do. I am not faulting this guy for doing that at all. In fact, if I was in his same ship and in that same position, I'd be doing the exact same thing he was, so I'm not even going to dare talk about, oh, he's fire spamming from behind a mountain, I can't see him. I would be doing the same thing. That's just smart positioning. If you've got those shots, take them, because you're in a cruiser and you can get one tap by moi, even in the Gascogne. I could one tap him if I got good enough RNG. I don't blame him for making that play. And to be honest, even Battleship main players, I know you hate the fact that us cruiser players sit behind islands and we spam you from afar, but because you have that one-tap ability and we can't one-tap you, we've got to whittle you down over time, which means it's on you to position better than I'm positioned, or in this case, this cruiser player's position. Enough about that. And that's why I'm kind of staying at range, and I'm trying to take him out of play, because I don't want him to do that. However, now the caps have gotten wildly out of control. They have 3 caps to our 1 that we initially started with. So both of the flanked caps have gotten taken by their destroyers. Unfortunately, we have not had any destroyer support up to this point, even though we have a ton of them. And speaking of destroyers, we've just lost 2 compared to their 1. So they have 3, we have 2 left, and those 2 destroyers are not really near where we're at. So all of us in our division, in just battleships, at this point, I was like, you know what? Just for the sake of trying to make this game a little bit more interesting, I called on all 3 of them, and we were talking at this point, but I said, all right, guys, listen, let's just push right here, right now. I was like, I don't care what we go up against. If all 3 of us push, they can't all focus all of us. So although one of us might get wrecked, they can't wreck all of us at the same time. So let's just push in there. Let's see what happens. And let's basically go in as a team. As our division mate right there gets quad fired. But he puts it out maybe a little prematurely because these torpedoes were coming in from the destroyer that's somewhere out here. But he doesn't get hit, so he does preserve his life a little bit longer. We don't get hit either. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to push in here. Our destroyer is taking Bravo cap, so this push is necessary for us at this point because we are down on score by over 200 points, and we have got to start making up the difference by taking out ships and flipping caps. The Boise came out, I guess, because he was like, oh, well, this is going to be an easy game. Not really, Sunshine. We're coming for you, or at least I am. And this Boise player's like, nope, I'm getting back. So that's what he's doing. He's going back behind the island. Again, smart play. Don't fault him for making it. I'm not going to criticize him for doing that play. But I have already committed to pushing in here. We have no destroyers that are going to be taking this cap. We have got to take the cap. I'm doing my best to try and dodge a little bit here and there. And I have to angle against the Missouri, whilst also being aware of the fact that there is a destroyer out here somewhere. So, I just kind of want to have fun, because this ship, it's hard to have fun in it, as we discussed in the first game. But we're going to do our best. Looking at the score real quick, we are now down 4 ships to their 2. The caps are now even, so we have to start making moves. We have to start making waves, and we have to start dictating this battle, or we're going to lose. It's just that plain and simple. And although the odds are stacked against us because they have overwhelming control, now we're starting to flip alpha. And as long as our team, the rest of our team, which is just the 2 destroyers at this point, because we're in a division of just battleships, if those destroyers can do a little bit better of a job at taking caps, or at least eliminating 1 or 2 of the destroyers, then maybe we got a shot. I'm staying angled against this Missouri, and the other ships can also do that far better than I can, whilst maintaining all their firepower. But even when we're angled, we're still getting chunked because our superstructure is still pretty big. But we're making this cruiser player very uncomfortable. I'm not going for the cap. I'm trying to push these ships away. I feel like I'm doing a good job in pushing them away. I want to be the one that everything's shooting at, because I want our other guys to be able to take that cap. If they're focusing me, they're not focusing the ships that are taking the cap, and I'm okay with that at this point. I am tanky enough to be able to withstand some against 2 ships, specifically a battleship and a cruiser. I can angle against the battleship. I can't angle against the cruiser, but I don't need to. But at this point, I am going to start turning around, because I don't want to get too far out of position. We take a really good grouping shot right here that's all horizontal. We get a decent hit into the superstructure and disable a gun momentarily, enough for us to get this turn around. And at this point, I'm asking my teammates, okay, y'all got to do something about that Boise. My guns are nowhere in position to be able to take him. He's just going to focus me, and I'm going to die. So please help me with that cruiser. I'm going to focus the battleship out here, and maybe we can take out both these guys so that we can eliminate the threat on this side, take the cap, and swing the favor back in our favor, which we have. We did take the cap, which I was a little late on saying, but Missouri is down to nothing. And then I look over at the Boise, who's also down to nothing, and he gets hit, and all we need is just one more hit for both these ships. However, at this point, I'm getting a little greedy, and I do expose a little too much of my broadside. I take one final shot with my back turret. Just thinking about getting my front turret squeezed over, but he gets taken out anyway. And just like that, they're both down, which is huge for us, because now we've actually flipped the ship count into our favor. We only lost 1 destroyer, but they ended up losing 3 ships in that span of time. Plus, we were able to change the caps into our favor, which means that the points are now all going to us. And that is such a great and satisfying experience when you are with teammates that know how to play, know how to communicate, and change the tide of the battle. It's the kind of games like this that make even a match in the Gascogne feel like it's fun. So I guess I found the reason to play the Gascogne. It's with other teammates, specifically in other ships that might be a little bit better than this, if I might add. But there's only 3 ships left on their team compared to our 4, like I said, and the points are ticking wildly in our favor. So now it's up to the Reds to have to do something about it. Now, because my health is so low, I don't want to die and potentially jog the points back in their favor, so I am going to stay at range, start to angle out just enough to be able to get my guns on target. I don't have any more heals left. I don't have Will to Rebuild going. I think my legendary perk is Fight Fire with Fire, which I think is better, but in this specific situation, it probably would have been nice to have Will to Rebuild, So then I probably would have been able to have gotten a little bit more health back. But I'm just going to stay at range, and I'm just going to shoot every once in a while and try to use these islands to go unspotted. I've got better ships in my division that can bow tank and still get full firepower on. Plus, these ships are so far out, they're largely not going to be able to do a whole lot against us unless I just really play it wrong. But the other ships are not going to be focusing me too much as those torpedoes are coming in and whack the Bismarck way out there. So now he's down to almost nothing. So we're just going to keep peppering and focusing this on-halt, which has preserved a decent amount of his health points for the end of the game. And we've got HE because he does have really good armor, and because he's bowing to us, the only thing that we're effectively going to be getting on him are fires, which we do have one burning right now. Because of our other ships that are shooting AP, I don't want to make these shots go to waste, essentially. And I'm just hoping that RNG blesses us with fires, which looks like it's working. So the on-halt does put that out, which means that he's on damage con cooldown. So any more fires that we get or incapacitations in any form is going to stick. So now we're going to stick with the HE to try and set yet another fire against him, which we are successful. And now that one's going to burn a little bit longer. And that's when we notice that the last remaining destroyer is right out here, right behind us. So now we got to go full speed in order to get away from his torpedoes. That is a threat. But if we can run away, it's going to make it a heck of a lot harder for him to be able to hit us. At this point, we were communicating, and I was like, maybe you should go for the ram, because that would really secure the win at this point. And so that's what he's doing. This was a tactical move on our part in order to be able to take out this on-halt, which did have torpedoes but wasn't able to get it out. So now it's a 3v1, but it's the destroyer, which I know is way out here. And our points are in this sort of way that he would have to basically kill all of us in order for this to work. I don't know how he gets spotted here, but he does. We have HE loaded, we take a shot, and that grouping looked really good. He does slow down and turn out, but we're able to get a decent amount of shells on target and set a fire. I am anticipating torpedoes coming in, so I am trying to kind of get turned around enough to be able to do something about it. Unfortunately, he does set us on fire, which is not good even at my health, so I am going to be forced to have to put it out. I take a shot at him, and because he's going to go dark right here, which means that he is now outside of his firing range to hit me. So that's why I popped the damage con, because I feel at this point I can dodge whatever torpedoes are coming my way. But it's less than 1 minute now, and we are just on the precipice of hitting 1,000 points. So even if I die at this point, I feel very confident that we're going to win. In fact, it's a foregone conclusion. We're going to win. So back to the very beginning of this match, I said, who did you think was going to be number one on the leaderboard, or at least top on our division? And so, drum roll, let's see exactly who was right. Who picked me and the Gascogne to be top? Well, you were wrong. I came in fourth, and it's like, why would you post this video? Well, for one, it was a very competitive game. We brought it back from the brink, and we played well as a division, but it just goes to show that even when you tank in this thing, which is what you're supposed to do as a battleship player, it's just not as effective as I wish it could have been. Plus, they were taking caps, and I wasn't, so there's that. But, of course, the Le Foudre and the Jean Bart are going to outscore the Gascogne. Of course they will. Anyway, it's a little tongue-in-cheek. It was a fun game. I'll give it that, which is why I wanted to feature it. But anyway, that's a look at the Gascogne. If you got it and you like it, you got to tell me why, because I need to know. And if you don't have it and you're wondering if you want to get it, well, in my personal opinion, I don't think it's worth the money or the green XP. There are plenty of other ships out there that I feel are more fun than this thing. But if you want a challenge, the Gascogne will definitely give you that. So anyway, captains, I am now going to focus on a different ship that I think is far superior and is very similar, which we talked about a little bit earlier in the first video, the Republique. So keep your eye out for that one. And if you have another ship that you want me to feature, just let me know in the comments below. If I got it, I will gladly do it for you. So until then, this is the USS Endeavor, signing off.